welcome. It's time for Friday Night Marketing. We're gonna rock. We're gonna roll. Rock and roll. Get real and bold. Come on, join the show now. It's about to unfold. Get raw, get real, get results now. We're the latest feel, making waves loud. On this stage, we ignite. Every Friday night, brand new fight. Get real, get results now. We're the latest feel, making waves loud. On this stage, we ignite. Every Friday night, brand new fight. In the spotlight, feel the fever. Every pitch and quest. Dreams are big, get bigger tonight. Push the limits, reach new heights. So grab your seat, don't blink an eye. 'Cause Friday night we'll touch the sky. And now, welcome. It's time for Friday Night Marketing Raw.
Lock up your daughters and sons. Friday Night Marketing Raw.
Especially with Richie being around.
Yeah. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Friday Night Marketing Raw. And as you can see, there's actually more than two of us on screen.
I know it. Amazing. Right out the gate, we got more than
Love
one.
it.
Yeah,
Love it. So we got Richie Nolan, Dan Bradley, and Ellie on as well. Hello. I know Ellie's only listening at the moment. That's fine. So, yes, another Friday. Have you had a good week?
Yeah.
I've had a productive week.
It's been up and down, hasn't it, Dan?
Busy week. Very busy week.
It's been very.
Yes. Well, you
Emotional
you
roller
two are
coaster.
getting ready for a launch, aren't you? So,
We are, yeah. We've got a launch happening on
Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah, the 2nd of October that we've been working on for about 6 months, Dan.
Yeah, feels longer to be honest with you, but yeah,
It does.
it's been about that.
I know what it's like on those sorts of bigger projects. And
Good Lord.
and as you on Richie's thing there, he's got jvwithdan.com, which is where you can go to find out about it if you are a potential affiliate.
Yep.
And for those people that are not necessarily affiliates, but want to know, hey, what's this product do? And the affiliates probably want to know that too. What is the product?
What's up, man?
Mr. Mallard.
Hello there.
How's
There's
it
Mr. Miller,
going? There
who's
he is.
mid-launch at the moment. We'll check in with his launch in a bit. But
Right.
in a nutshell, what's the elevator pitch for what this product does?
I'll hand over to my colleague Dan.
I thought you would. Very generous of you there, mate.
It better be good.
Don't
Yeah,
worry, I
so-
remember when Rich used to do that to me.
In a nutshell, basically, it's an affiliate marketing training course, right? And basically, it's showing people how they can actually, genuinely build a list. We've all seen plenty of these push button traffic things that don't do anything at all. And so it's real affiliate marketing training. We talk about a few different traffic sources that we've been using. One of them that we've been using quite well is solo ads done the right way is one of those traffic sources. Again, there's a lot of bad training out there on solo ads. I'm sure many of us have seen some of that stuff. So yeah, it's really based on what I've been doing almost over 8 years now. Just kind of in the scenes, not having to jump on the next launch and not having to constantly chase after whatever's launching and just plug away making affiliate sales. So that's what this is showing people, exactly what I've been doing over the years, really, is the short version.
It's like a case study in many, really. It's basically exactly what you've been doing, and it's you breaking that down.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's just about, people who are starting out, that they're actually able to, get some leads in, make some sales, and, stop kind of chasing their tail on these sort of shiny object things. That's really what we're trying to do. We see so many people and clients of ours and stuff, and they're buying, I bought this, I bought that. Did it work for you? Well, no, I pushed the button, it didn't work. Right. Well, let's build a real business, because that's something very different, right? So yeah.
I've got a button that people could push. It takes 91 days for it to actually start making any money. Refund
91
period's
days.
90 days.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh,
that,
oh dear.
These push button things, they often make me smile. We actually once put out, this is true story. We had a product, and what it did only involved copying and pasting it. You had to go to this, copy paste that, go here, copy paste that, go here, copy paste that. You had to maybe put in a couple of other things about you and your business and push a button, and it produced everything you needed straight out. And we had all this. And the refund request, our favorite refund request of all time. This is too much copying and pasting for me. Can I remember?
Oh no! Really?
There's some 5 things you had to do to get the desired output to do the thing, and the guy decided it was to. And that shows up, sadly, the level of some of the people that are out there in what we might call Munchie Land, Warrior Plus, JB2.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
thankfully, there are sensible people that realise that really the only way to do this properly is to build a sustainable business out of it, which is kind of where I've made my living for the last 20 plus years, dealing with those that really want to do it properly. So,
And don't you tend to find that, like, people first go and buy and try all these things, and then eventually come over to us when they're like, I've tried everything and nothing's worked, and then they're kind of ready to build a real business?
Some, because there's some that are so jaded they don't believe anything anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I've
do
done
get
that.
people whose dreams get crushed, and they just think this. I've heard it many times where people have said to me, "Oh no, I've tried that IM thing; it doesn't work." And I go, "Well, I beg to differ. I've been doing it over 20 years as a full-time thing, right? It does work if you do it right." And I could point you at loads of people that do it as their full-time thing, or that. But also, people are their own worst enemies. I mailed out about a product this week. I actually write a blog post about it later as well. And Kurt looked at the product as well, and Kurt came to me and said, "It's very basic." And I went, "Yeah, I know it's very basic. But the thing is, what they're showing is a case study, and it's from someone that I know and respect in the industry. This is exactly what they've done. Even though it's that. No, and sure enough, I had 1 or 2 people immediately, they did buy it, and it wasn't aimed at them anyway, because some of them were advanced marketers, and it is a newbie product. But even some people came back and went, "Oh, the prompts look too basic to me." So they wrote the whole idea off before they'd even put a prompt in and sent an email and done the things that they were told to do. And I went, do you not think that that's the point? It is simple.
Yeah.
Half the problem is people will look at something and go, that looks too easy, too straightforward, or that's too much work. Next shiny thing, please.
Yeah.
That dollar bill on the ground, I'm not bending over to pick that up. That's way too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, what we're really trying to achieve is stamp that attitude out, really. And
You never will,
you
but
know,
I've been trying for
no,
20 years. But
yeah,
It's
of course.
a
Yeah.
tough one to try and do, you know.
It's always going to be like one shiny object to another, to another, to another. But I mean, highlighting what you said, Andy, about the person that really felt like the copy and paste method it was too much work. It is a business. Yes, you can spend 7 to 10 hours a week and you can become an affiliate and do well. But if you really want to build it beyond that, then you got to treat it as a brick and mortar business. You've got to, it is kind of 9 to 5. I mean, you can sort of, but I think again, it's this whole laptop lifestyle that's been built up by charlatans, as Andy has told me over the years many times, that have sold this dream, and people think that they can come up and I'll buy this and I'll stick that on my hard drive and then I'll buy another one and I'll be all right.
And we'll all be millionaires by Tuesday.
Exactly. And it's just not the case. You've got to work at it every day. You do have this, and every day, as long as you're consistent and you're taking action, then you will get results. But if you're just buying one thing and then thinking, I'll just watch this video and then,
The problem is the mentality of people who go, well, I want to I want to push the button and make the money, and that's it. That's all it is. So if something isn't let's push this button and make some money, then they're just not interested.
Most people want the results without the effort, and they think if I just throw cash at it, and now there is a certain amount of business you can just throw money at and get other people to do things for you, but they don't throw money at outsourcing and paid ads and all the sensible shit. Instead, they want to throw money at some bullshit magic button that isn't going to do anything for them.
And the funniest part of that is when you say throw money at it, we're talking about like $12 to $17, right? Let's be real,
but you know the surprising thing, the price point is irrelevant. Years ago, when I released a product, it's many years ago, Software Product Magic, this was a product which cost $600 up front. There wasn't none of this bullshit $7 funnel, $600 product. I genuinely sold loads of that, and I can tell you now, because it had a license system, I could track everything. 10% of people who paid me $600 never even activated the software.
I can believe that.
Money, that was nice spending that money. I feel better now. I've taken action today. Oh, there's something where I can push a different button and make twice as well. I'll go buy that.
That's the shiny object syndrome.
But you know what? My business couldn't survive without a certain percentage of those people, because there aren't enough people that want to do it the legit way and just do it.
Yeah. Nobody's business could. Nobody's could.
No.
And for every product that we release, which will have a great number of people who just don't access it, there are people who buy parts for cars that they never mend. There's in every industry, there's that portion of people who would just they'll buy the thing because they think that's going to solve the problem, but they'll never actually do the actions to solve the actual problem.
80% of this market is hobbyist.
It is, but it's also like gym membership. Everyone signs up to the gym January. We all get a bit fat. We enjoy Thanksgiving, and then we go on to Christmas, and we
never signed up to a gym in my life.
All right, maybe this is the wrong kind of audience for it, but
No
we
shit,
are aware
Sherlock.
of it.
You should have looked before you made that statement.
All right. We all have subscriptions to bakeries, right? I'm guessing from looking at the screen, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
you should have a
OnlyFans
Greg's t-shirt on, Steve. That's what you should have. I've subscribed to Greg $6.99 a month, and I get a pasty.
I am working for a bakery at the moment, and they're talking about having a subscription service.
Are they? Did you see Greg's as well this week when Keir Starmer was doing a speech and he said, "Oh, we need to release the hostages."
I saw the sausages thing. That was great.
And then Greg's like, "Here's a hostage roll." Brilliant.
I didn't
love
see the
that.
Greg's thing.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I
Greg,
did see the speech that David Lammy made. He said, "I stand here as a black man," whilst he was sitting down. That was quite funny.
Love it.
Yeah, that was awesome. I remember
So,
during
Mr.
COVID.
Stephen,
Yes.
you're mid-launch. How's it going?
Oh well, I'm not even mid-launch. Really, it's just still the start of the launch. It's day one.
Yeah, was it?
It's going. I've got all of the statistics up here. It's going all right, actually. 59 sales. It's converting at 10%. But that was all dependent on affiliates because I dug into who's doing well on affiliates. Andy is converting at 26%. And he's not the only one who are doing actually some really pretty good numbers. And what I'm finding really interesting is that there's a couple of people I know who are doing stuff on YouTube who I don't expect to get a lot of big numbers, but they're still converting between 4 and 7%, which is pretty good. What I was really surprised about, some of the people who you would think, oh, they've got massive lists, they're going to do really well, they're not converting at all. Some of the kind of traditional IM crowd, they're not converting at all.
I think
and that's ultimately that's what's pulling some of the
I've
numbers
seen
down.
some emails, and some of them are sending quite blind,
Fairly generic ones. Yeah,
Hey, don't get me
yeah.
wrong. I use blind email from time to time. There are some times when you just know, you go, that sales page, fucking anyone that looks at it is going to want that. I'll just go blind.
You need to do it for the right thing.
As quick as possible. 3-line email, done. With your thing, I just went, what's the real pain point here? And I went, well, we've all messed around doing covers with AI, and we've all realized that it does a shit job. Because if he gets a nice cover, the words are bollocks, and you've got to go into Canva and do a text grab and hope you can modify it.
That is one of the big things that I thought, it solves that problem.
And that's how I sold it. And sure enough, anyone, even if they're already made, I mean, who's people that already do book covers, people that are imagining doing them, they might buy it.
Look who we have in our bubble right here. We got people who are authoring KDP books. We've got people who want lead magnet covers. We've got people who do bonuses for every product. They need something. You know. We've got people who need that as a service, well, rather as an ability. And my thing has always been, I want to help people to do creative stuff that they can't normally do for their business. And so this is it. You know, this is the way of doing it. The next one, which I won't reveal here, but maybe after the live bit. The next one is the same sort of thing. It's just I'm taking things a stage further and doing another thing with ChatGPT because I like it. AI has been the great leveler. Yeah, I mean, because I came up, I was writing books and things decades ago. God, I feel old. And nobody else could have done that. So, you know, there's a group of people who you would call author or writer or whatever, and they could do that thing and nobody else could do it. It's not true anymore. You know, anybody can do this stuff. It's and especially when you come to things like sales pages, which I've done a product for, or the Brand Aid, which was the last one on Bookmark, which is this one, or the next one, which will be create this thing using AI again. They're things that are really valuable to businesses because everybody tells you need them, and yet they don't tell you how to do them. They don't even old products that say this is how you, for example, do a lead magnet. This is how you make a lead magnet. They might give you the steps of what you should probably put in it, but what they can't do is bridge that gap between this is what you need to do and here's how you actually write something. And AI does it, and I'm writing prompts that will take the knowledge that I've got doing it, and push that into a ChatGPT environment. So. Yeah.
Kurt and I's next,
and that's what this is doing as well.
Kurt and I's next joint product together which will be in a few weeks' time, a couple of weeks, is master prompts because once you've got a master prompt for something, you can make a GPT out of it. You can just use it. But
are we getting to a point now, especially
we've been engineering prompts since day one with ChatGPT, and we've got some really complex shit now.
I said the other week, I remember when we all sat down and we'd all used Midjourney for the first time that one week, and that's what we were talking about for like.
Oh, we were talking about, that's right. And and if you do this and you put this thing on, and this little, do you know about this secret switch you can do minus something? Yeah, there's all that.
We have come such a long way from there. but
Yeah.
it's such a good thing because
in
again,
such a short space
it
of time.
opens it up.
My developer says that he's using Claude Dev and Copilot for most of his coding now.
Yeah.
He's able
Yeah.
to turn over the information to me much quicker, do updates much faster.
Mhm.
I don't have a problem with it.
Have you seen that Replic thing? That's, I mean, obviously, what they're doing is it'll build code for using AI, and that what they're encouraging you to do is to tie into their hosting. There are ways of extracting the code and not doing that. But for complete novices who don't know anything about web hosting, databases, coding, anything, you can sit them down on that, and in half an hour, they've built a viable web app.
There are a
It's
couple of companies
crazy.
that are doing that. Like Replic is
Yeah.
the one I think is that got everything kind of
Replic's
sorted.
really
at
getting,
the moment.
and if you hook Replic in with, say, Pabbly or Make or Zapier,
yeah.
between the two, there's nothing you can't fucking do. It's
And
crazy. Which is
It's not.
exactly
It's
why
not just
I.
that. I've seen people doing the same thing with games. You know,
Yes.
they're going, we want to do this. It's in an Unreal Engine. I've seen a couple of people who are actually really good 3D artists, couldn't code for their life, who have gone, well, I've made all the assets. I'm going to make the game now with ChatGPT. What a
Yeah.
brilliant idea.
And
Because
ChatGPT
to
and
hire
other
people to do that
AIs,
would be
Claude
impossible.
in particular, are getting so good at code. Claude is
I am
street
now-
scared of anything now.
I am now paying, and I didn't used to pay for lots of platforms because I didn't feel the need for them. I'm now paying for ChatGPT, which I need
Mhm.
to do because I've released some custom GPTs, so they're right there.
Me
I need to
too, and
keep
I've got
going.
some more coming.
And I'm paying for Claude as well because it
Me
is
too.
worth it.
Yes.
Yes,
just
it
absolutely
is.
I've got AI art covered with the platform that you guys know about from the product. It's great.
Yes.
Paid for a year, don't need to worry about it again.
Mhm.
And in fact, if you go the version below the one that I did, I think it's something like 20 quid for the whole year, which is just ridiculous. And yeah, it's now integrating Flux and LoRa and ControlNet, and if all of these things don't mean
Flux
anything,
is really nice, isn't it?
Flux
I've
is
had-
amazing.
They built Flux. They added Flux really early on. Actually, one of the first to do it into Super Machine,
Yeah.
which is the thing that I use. And for me, anything to do with graphics, I just go in there now. I don't use anything else. I don't use DALL-E anymore. I say I don't use anything else. I might be using your thing to do book covers, but
Well, my thing is based on other people's AIs. I've just got a prompt basically that's giving you the right information.
But yeah,
Let me show you
loving
something.
thinking about things
Can
like
I,
Replic and that stuff. It's just mind blowing, and every day there's something bigger, better, newer, more exciting coming up. I mean, you have got to watch out for the old shiny object syndrome where AI is concerned. I think we all got a bit of that when it started. We all became the newbie again, and we're going, "Oh my god!" But
so this is the
we very-
program that I've showed everybody, and that is Jenna Coleman generated in 3D using a thing called Allura, which is how you train it to look
Mhm.
like it. And that's now built into the program that I was using, and anybody can do it. And they've got a free tier where you can go and get, was it 50 credits a day or something like that? Well, no, it's 150 credits a day. Sorry. So
Yeah.
anybody can do that now. That would have been unthinkable 6 months ago, and yet, I mean, I use that one. I do Doctor Who art, and I use that one because that's the one that would already been done. So I haven't trained them myself yet, but that's kind of the next step. That's where I'm sort of thinking.
What
I
we're
have-
seeing is a parabolic curve in intelligence and productivity because of AI.
Yeah.
And AI is creating AI,
Mm.
which this is where the fear comes into play. This is what makes everyone's gears start spinning. If AI can enhance AI and then it can enhance AI and keep going, then there's a problem.
Well, this is one of the things they were saying about the copyright issues that they've got with AI at the moment, and people trying to sue them, is that they are now at a point where there is enough material that they have already trained. There's no copyright on it at all, that it can then train other AIs, which, I mean, in some respects that's scary, but in other respects that means that very shortly the copyright problems are going to be gone, mostly because Hollywood's already starting to use AI for stuff.
It's going to be gone
Um,
because of attrition. Think
yeah,
about it that way.
yeah.
How many words are there? How many different ways can you combine those words? Eventually, you're
Sure.
not going to be able to not have something that's already been said, written, or done.
Yeah.
The exact
yeah.
same thing with coding, the exact same thing with art. Eventually, everything is going to be done. As Andy keeps saying over and over again, there's nothing new under the sun.
No, I mean that's very true. It's very true.
Have you heard
And
about
actually, if you,
just on an AI topic that's slightly off marketing, but Lionsgate have just signed a deal to
with
let
Runway, yes.
to let Runway be trained on all of their movie assets and stuff,
Mhm.
which has caused a big furore among all the actors that star in those things because effectively it's their likenesses and things that it's going to be trained on. But a big part
But
of
you still couldn't commercially use an actor's likeness.
no, you can't.
But I mean,
What's really interesting
somebody
is
was talking about it the other day, and the real difference with sort of AI. AI is a tool. You can still use it. Use Photoshop to do something illegal, or rather, I mean, it's not technically illegal, but to break a copyright, to break somebody's IP. But that's not the reason to get rid of Photoshop. And AI is the same thing. It's just it makes it that bit easier to do. But if you think about it, really, all of the people who work in games creation and all the visual effects artists who've saying that we're really struggling with the crunch at the moment. We're really struggling with that period where studios aren't giving us enough time to do our jobs properly. Well, some of those things can be automated. And if you think about maybe like the Avatar film, what's the problem with having AI generated movement for ears and tails and scenery and stuff like that? If the artists can then get on and do the stuff that they need to do, and make adjustments as and when they need to. And funnily enough, that's how some companies are already doing it. Some of the mocap stuff that's happening is all based on AI algorithms, and they are putting that into commercial production. The BBC, along with companies that they've hired to do it, just released an animation of a lost Doctor Who thing called Celestial Toymaker, which was done in 3D, and they've used these same mocap things in order to get movements into the thing without spending a fortune on hiring a motion capture studio and all the hardware that would have to go with it. They don't need to do that anymore.
That is a great leveler that you were talking about. In that I had a project, many people know about this one, but I had a project that had been on the shelf forever because I looked into the cost of getting an artist to do all the artwork, and it was like thousands. And it was one of those projects was like, I don't know enough about the market to know it's going to pay off. So I needed, and so I left it. And then AI comes along. And the first thing I did when Midjourney came out was sat down and did the 60, 70 pieces of art that this thing needed and was able to bring it was an Oracle deck thing, which has actually done okay. It hasn't done brilliant. So I'm certainly glad I didn't pay an artist to do it.
Yeah.
But, to throw a couple of months subscription at Midjourney and get everything done, made the templates in Canva and sent them over to a printer in China. Problem solved.
But imagine you were starting that now with the stuff that was available. You would save so much time on doing something like that. And you might even go, actually, I could do a couple of these at the same time. And it wouldn't have taken you any longer. So that time to market is actually...
Well, I'm now into using API, so I could just put it on a spreadsheet and hit a button and it will make the 60, 70 images, and I just go in the ones I don't like remake.
And when you have the really good language model, image models like... like the Fluxes or like some of the other that are sort of coming up at the moment, you can kind of leave it to its own devices and you're pretty much going to get the right thing out of it.
Well, now it also comes down to, okay, I used to get paid so many thousands of dollars to do this animation. Now I'm getting it done in a fraction of the time, and they think I need a fraction of the pay for the same output of work. The goal is to
that's what's happening, because there already is contracts in place to stop that from happening. So the trickle down on this is going to be towards the the studio said. Whether or not what happens ends up being that the crunch doesn't reduce, but they just an effects studio will take on twice as much work, or a game studio will take on twice as much. I don't know. But there's definitely somewhere along the line, like most innovation, there is going to be a point where this is helping more people than it would hurt. And
the genie's out the bottle. You've got to embrace that, guys. Genie's out. It's one of those things. Lionsgate made an interesting statement about why they were so keen on the deal, because it's like a one-time payment thing. It didn't seem, and there's also. But the real reason is they went, well, if the AI is trained on it, we can use it to make edits to our own films. And it's going to be a lot more seamless. If we need just a 3-second fix, we can just do it.
Or now we can go into interactive movies, put them out on DVD, go back to the DVD, and people could choose their own ending that they like for that show.
That's Terry Pratchett kind of territory, though, isn't it? With his books, you could choose your own ending.
Can you?
No, you couldn't.
Yes, you can.
No, you couldn't. Well, I'm Pratchett. No.
Yeah, there was
Which
books that he's like. You read that chapter, and do you want to do A? Open the door.
That was Steve Jackson.
Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone.
All right, it's been a while, Steve. Steve Jackson.
It's fascinating watching what's happening and how this technology is being adopted. And some people are taking a scattergun approach, and some people are really, leveling down. But it's fascinating watching what's happening. One thing I know that we must do that's really important is answer the question that everybody needs the answer to. Because the only reason some people tune into this is to find out.
Has George Wigan given David Kirby his money back yet?
Oh my God, that's hilarious!
No, he fucking hasn't. And that was.
Has George Wigan given David Kirby his money back yet?
The answer's still no.
We'll check in next week. We'll check in next week on that.
What just happened?
We do that every week.
Yeah,
we're going to do it every week. We know
so
he's
much better than the IM
And
stuff.
until George Wickens gives David Kirby his frickin' money back.
So what's
You'll
the
be
story?
playing that for years.
Exactly. It's a great, So
And if he does, then we'll just change it a little bit. George.
there's another way that AI has made stuff so attainable. The music you heard at the beginning, count up the show. The music
love
we
that.
used
That intro
at the
was
beginning
like-
of our lives.
Right,
They're all personalized. We use Udio. We took a subscription to Udio. I made all of them. I made several other little bits and pieces for projects. And I went, right,
How'd you
I can't
spell
think of anything
Udio?
else I want to do. I'll cancel it. UDIO. Is it com? Or is it? It might be one of them.
It's probably like
maybe AI.
.io, is it?
Yeah, it's
.ai.
.com.
AI.com, is it?
Udio.com.
Imagine buying the domain AI.com in like 1997. How much that'd be worth now?
Yeah. So yeah,
And
we made.
this
all of
is
those
where
government-
AI is actually making its inroads. It's not really taking jobs away from people at the moment. It's on the fringes of where people wouldn't have paid for the thing in the first place.
Right.
It's not
You'd have
taking
never
jobs away
paid
from
anybody to do
It's
that.
making
No,
people do more work.
because
If you've been
we
to-
have
have
in
you
the
been to
past.
Asda
I
without
once
a
paid for
checkout
a
person?
jingle. What was that?
You've been to Asda on the self checkout.
But to be fair, that's not AI. They've been able to do that for years.
Yeah. But Steve's right. I would never have paid someone. I have paid people to make little jingles of us, so I know what they cost. And
They're
to
very
get something
expensive.
decent, $600-700 minimum.
Wow.
And I can go into a Udio subscription in a few moments, knock out some things that are good enough.
And if you're not using them
You know-
commercially, you can do stuff for free. I mean, You know,
Yeah, absolutely, and it's amazing. Yeah, we've made all sorts with Udio Wormer, and then we weren't sure if Arun would ever want to do a show, but if we did, we made this for him.
but दिल को तुमने छेड़ा इंसान ऐसा था चैन गले तुमने छेड़ा खाली से निकली जिंदगी
There you go. So Arun,
Only
if you're
Andy's
watching and you
racist
want
on
it,
that.
just reach out.
Oh,
Shows me.
God.
I'll tell you what, though, the thing with this AI thing that I think is going to be interesting is where we're going to be, you know, in a few years' time. Where are the benefits going to be, right? Like if we say that, like the BBC, and this is going to be one perhaps for those of us more in the UK than anywhere else, but if the BBC decide that they're able to do all of this and all of this for so much cheaper or whatever, is the TV license going to be cheaper? I mean, where's the benefit going to be, right? You know?
well, no, because they can't, because they've already signed contracts, basically signed away contracts for using people's AI likenesses. It's a lot like in the late 70s and the 60s and 70s. Nobody had really heard of home entertainment in terms of DVDs and videos and things, and so they didn't license things in the same way that they did in the mid 80s when video was actually a viable thing. And so there's been a bunch of programs. Some of the reasons that shows from the 60s and 70s aren't available is just because there's copyright issues, because somebody somewhere has gone, no, I don't want you to release that, and then that's it, because they can't do anything about it, because back then they never had that ability, they forethought to do anything about it. Well, kind of similar things have happened right now, and Beck2 and Equity have both got clauses now in contracts. Beck2's the not really technicians, but stage handlers union, and Equity's the actors one. There's clauses in those contracts that they put out that the BBC has to agree with. It was been negotiated that said you can't use AI likenesses and things. So it's going to be more difficult for British companies to use AI in British productions. If they're doing American productions, it's different because they've got a different rule set.
China, for example, already has news broadcasts that are entirely AI, and they have had for years. So miles ahead. But you know, so in some kind of ways, yeah. But if BBC suddenly used AI for all its newscasters and presenters, who'd fiddle with the kids?
Well, they did try doing it with Doctor Who during the last run, and they had such a big pushback from fans that they stopped doing it. They released a set of 4 pictures, and people were going, "No, we don't want this. We want to see the actual character, the actual actors in these things."
Yeah.
So they stopped doing it.
That's the problem. If you suddenly make it all AI and stuff like that, then what do Comic-Con do? That's become a $1 billion industry, who book all these actors and things to come and do meet and greets and signings, and the genius of Comic-Con is that it pays for itself. They rarely actually pay. People will book to be there, and they'll pay them to have a table to do signings.
What's happening? Some of the tech that they're playing with at the moment, combining Unreal and AI. Henson Company have put together, they've got this, which is a pretty sort of industry famous rig that they use to control puppets and things that they use throughout loads of different films. It was developed, I think, for Dark Crystal originally. They've now got a digital version of that. So think about something like The Volume, where people can stand in front of things. An actor can stand in front of the virtual set and have a virtual puppet live put into the thing, and it's photorealistic 3D rendering right
crazy, isn't it?
There in front of you. Yeah. They're already making programs with that.
Yeah, so the problem is at the moment is AI's taking over all the nice stuff that people enjoy doing. I love writing. I'm like, I still write my own stuff, but I'm like, why can't we have AI that washes the dishes and all that shit? That's That's what I want to replace. I don't want to replace all the
have,
creative work I do.
We-
That's
We
fun.
have got dishwashers. But
Yeah.
the tip is you buy 2 dishwashers and you load one of them with all your dirty stuff and one of them with all your clean stuff. And then you use the stuff that's in the clean one and put it in the dirty one. And when you've finally got, you close the door and then you
And then that starts,
People
and
do
then
this.
they,
You can
and that
actually-
becomes the clean one, and
the clean
yeah.
one and that becomes the dirty one. People do that. You can actually buy labels now to stick on 2 washing machines from Amazon. One
Yeah.
says,
There
Well, there
really
was-
is a market for everything, isn't there?
There
"It
really
really is.
There
It
really
really
is. But there was.
Why are we
what's-
working hard making products that we sell for 12 pounds?
Yeah.
Those labels cost more than that.
It's always
Why
like
is there
the,
labels for your washing machine for £15? Oh yes, please, that'll help.
but it's always the new thing though. Years ago it was crypto, and then a couple of years later it was Bitcoin, and then like people were like, "Oh, AI is the new thing." I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon, but I don't think it's going anywhere. It's here to stay.
AI is here to stay. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's getting interwoven into
We're getting
society.
there.
I mean, if you think about the adoption of Bitcoin and things
Mm.
outside of perhaps our market where people are more techie, it's not massively adopted. You can't go down to the
Yeah.
pub and pay with crypto for the most of the part, right?
No.
But AI, that's already starting to be interwoven in our everyday lives.
It's in people's phone. It's been in people's phones for the last 5 years, and nobody kind of noticed.
Yeah.
Because now the companies have gone, oh, we can make money by saying there's AI in this, and so they're advertising stuff with AI in it.
That's because
Yeah.
they've called it Apple intelligence, not artificial. Do you know? Did you notice that?
Yeah, Apple Intelligence. Yeah,
Good point.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because
There
of
you
course
go.
that's going to be copyrighted now. We've got, you know.
Well, that's why they call it that. Yeah, absolutely.
And how's the photography going, Steve? Because I remember, like last time I spoke to you, that was
I
sort of taken
haven't-
off, and
I haven't done any in about a year or so.
you're at Brecon
Maybe
Beacon.
a bit more than that, actually. The
Yeah.
Brecon stuff was I was so pleased with it. Yeah, the Brecon. We went to Wales.
Thank you.
This was 2 years ago.
Someone else.
To Snowdonia, and it was great. But then a few months after Dad died, and
I'm sorry to
that's
hear that.
sort of it stopped me from doing it as much. And we've been on a couple of holidays and things and doing it, but no, I'm mostly. Yeah, I don't. It sort of stopped me from going out because now I'm at home with Mum and I've got to look after her, and you know it kind of prevents you from going. Oh right, I'm going to spend 2 days sat in a car and take a sleeping bag with me, and so I can do. You don't think like that.
No, of course,
anymore.
yeah.
So I haven't done a lot of it, but I've done a lot of Doctor Who art, which is just it lets me play with Photoshop. And it's something that I enjoy doing, and I've got a fair amount of people have said actually we quite like this, so that's nice.
And do you sell it,
I'll show
Steve?
you
Have you
some.
got like a?
No,
sell it
you
online,
couldn't
or-
sell that. You couldn't sell that because of the copyright issues.
Oh.
But if I wanted to, I could. I did this is from my main Instagram account.
By that, I presume you mean you'd make a few changes rather than just like, oh, sod the copyright.
I mean, I could make
I was
I could
wondering
make
what you
something
meant
that
there.
wasn't Doctor Who
Yeah,
and
yeah.
do that. Yeah.
Doctor Who?
But
Doctor Who? Doctor Who?
there are
Yeah.
artists out there who will do you know, general sci-fi things, and they can sell those.
Yeah.
I haven't done yet, but I might do.
Yeah.
I've just
I'm
got
sorry to
time.
hear
Like all
about your
those
dad.
Chinese
Yeah.
knockoffs, isn't it? They
Thank
put
you.
Doctor, they
It's-
spell Who HOO or something, and it's not copyright apparently.
Yeah, yeah.
Dr. Watt or something like that.
Yeah. They
Yeah,
get away with it
it-
because the artwork doesn't look much like Doctor Who either.
Dad dying was the start of. I've had 2 years of every couple of months somebody I know has died.
Oh God.
And it's just last week we found out my aunt in Australia has died, and she had dementia. It was kind of on the card, so we knew it was happening.
Right.
But it's been I counted them up a couple of months ago, and I've been to 18 funerals in 2 years.
Jeez.
In
And that
2
really,
years?
it really, yeah, in 2 years, it
Fucking
really
hell.
takes the steam out of yourselves. You
Yeah.
know,
How
and
old?
every
How
couple
old
of
are you,
weeks-
Steve?
I'm 46, but my parents, well, Mum's 83, Dad was in his 90s.
Right.
Uh,
right.
So
Good innings.
yeah, a lot of the people that they know and a lot of our
Yeah.
family were older anyway. So
Yeah.
Mm.
anyway,
And how's your mum doing? Because like
All right. Funnily enough, she's doing okay.
because usually if one goes, the other's not
she's
too
that
far
generation.
behind. Isn't it? Yeah.
She's that
Yeah.
generation, you know. She's the war generation still. She's
Yeah.
oh well, we've
Yeah.
just got to get on with things, and that's what she's doing.
Put up and shut up, isn't it?
yeah.
That's-
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
If you want to show
what is
that
it?
thing that I've
Never
shared,
complain, never
screen.
never explain. Say it, say it.
pretty much.
Hi, Tom Clark. Good to see you.
And are they sort of like married from 18, been together 70 years? Was,
I mean,
is that kind of
they were
couple?
older when they've been together. I think about 56 years, something like that.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, they weren't. They were a little bit older, but they weren't.
Yeah.
Andy, do you want to share that screen thing? Sure. So this is what I've been working with recently. I'm working with a company that does audio drama. And
That's not
this
Volker, is it?
that is actually Art Malik, modelled in 3D.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, who is starring in this production of London After Midnight. London After Midnight is a film that was made in the 1920s with Lon Chaney, the Man of 1,000 Faces, but it got lost. It got destroyed in a fire in 1960 something at the Warner lot. And so they've remade this thing in audio with Dolby Atmos, and this is one of the things that I've done for them. Some of the artwork that they're putting on the new CD releases, which should be out soonish. Oh, and
Wow.
it got featured in SFX magazine, which I was really pleased with.
Really? Yeah.
Even though they didn't like the thing very much, you know, to have some art in SFX is pretty good. So there's that. And this is the Doctor Who stuff I've been doing.
Wow.
I try and do about one a week. It's just nice to sort of sit down and do something a bit different. And yeah, I'm putting these things together every so often. That was for a project where they're redoing some old Big Finish covers because it's their anniversary this year.
Colin Baker, that's his name. Oh, there he is. There's the one that was his
The Sea
sidekick
Devil.
was called Ace that we all fell in love with in like. Remember Ace, the sidekick,
I
Sylvester McCoy.
remember Ace. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the Celestial Toymaker one.
Looks like Jafar from
And I-
Aladdin. That one.
I did one for every Doctor Who episode of this last season because it tends to be the thing that people do. Which
Right.
was fun to do. And some of the older ones as well. Oh, and that's a Terry Pratchett one. That's the Three Witches from the Discworld and a Dragon, because they had a thing about people out of place, and so I put them in the wrong book, basically. Yeah. So that's the sort of thing I've been doing just for fun, really. Just because I can. More 3D stuff that hasn't worked properly yet.
Cool. And you're still in Cheltenham?
Still in Cheltenham? No,
Yeah.
well, Gloucester, but still, it's on the
Gloucester.
edge of Gloucester anyway. Yeah. But still there.
And how are the floods? Because Chester, when I lived in 1990, I was 8 years old on an RAF base in Gloucester, and it used to flood all the time.
Oh, was it Innsworth?
Innsworth, yeah, Innsworth.
So,
RAF
you know,
Innsworth.
Innsworth, there's a little footbridge and there's a park beyond the footbridge.
Yes.
I'm just a couple of roads back from that.
Are you?
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Oh, okay. It's 1991 we left Innsworth and moved to Hereford when I was a young
Probably a good move, to be fair.
Oh yeah. But I can remember being 8 or 9 and seeing people like windsurfing in a football pitch that was just flooded.
Yeah, that was
windsurfing.
Block,
What are you doing?
Block
Yeah.
Court. Is
Yeah,
yeah,
near the city
Still.
centre. Yeah.
Yeah.
remember
But it's yeah, they've not been too bad actually. They've done a lot of work to sort of try and get the floods down.
Right.
We weren't really affected last week when they had those really bad torrential work. But had they not done that work, we probably would have been, you know. So
God.
yeah, it's not so bad anymore. But
Yeah. Dan lives in Mexico and he just had a hurricane go through, didn't he?
Yeah, luckily this one wasn't too bad for us, but Florida's going to be getting well, they're in the middle of it now, you know.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty
Mm.
rough. It's hurricane season. I mean, it's quite normal for us now here.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Florida always seems to suffer though. They seem to really, if it's not one side, it's the other side.
Well, they're stuck out because we think of America as on the wrong angle, and actually they're stuck out more into the Atlantic Ocean than we have.
Well, they're literally right out. They've got both sides, which sort of really get hit. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but it came through. We had heavy winds and rain, and I was on the call with Richie the other day. It was about 2 o'clock, 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon for me. Pitch black here.
Totally dark. Yeah.
Totally dark.
It was lighter here in Cardiff than it was for you in Cancun.
Bloody hell, really?
It's bad when the weather's better in Cardiff, isn't it?
We've had a couple of days over the last week where it's been quite sort of
horrible.
Dusk all day, but nothing. Where
Isn't it depressing though? Isn't it depressing?
Oh, God, yeah.
I feel
I like waking up and having
very unusual.
I like waking up and having the sun coming through the window, but at the same time, I don't like heat very much. So if it can be sunny but kind of mild, I'm fab. I'm the perfect person to live in the UK. That's what I'm saying.
Fair enough. Yeah, to be fair, here the temperature is usually something between 30 and 40.
Right.
So that's the range. Obviously, we have very high and very cold, but most of the year is somewhere between 30 and 40.
Mm-hmm. Is it very humid over there as well, or is it easy to?
So it's funny you should say that. Now I was back in the UK in November, right? So obviously not hot at all, but I was back in November for. I was only over for a couple of weeks. Had a few things I needed to sort of get done, and I found that the humidity in the UK was more of an issue when it was like 15 degrees or something, than what it was sort of over here. It's a very There was a really good Twitter thread a couple of months back by a guy who lived in Texas,
who moved to the UK and was explaining the difference, because he'd had some people who were, I don't know, family or live where he used to going, but it's so much hotter in Texas. What you're complaining about, 20 degrees in the UK, and he was trying to explain this thing that yes, but you don't understand what the humidity is like. It makes it hotter in summer, it makes it colder in winter, and so because there's so much of an extreme, you don't understand unless you kind of live here. I think
it's funny because here is like a it's obviously tropical heat is how it's described.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not, because we're not a desert. It's not dry at all. It is tropical heat, but it is quite a dry heat, I find. If you're outside in the sun, you might end up sweating, but you're not. It's not an uncomfortable heat. Whereas, 20 degrees or pushing into the the higher 20s in the UK, you can just be sweating, sat down doing nothing. Whereas, for example, I'm here right now in my air conditioning, and it's set to 24 degrees, and I'm feeling quite cool in 24 degrees. Now, 24 degrees, if you were sat there in the UK, you're probably sort of clearing the brow.
I'm sat in 23 degrees because computer, basically. And the humidity here is about 50%.
That's a big difference, isn't it, you see?
It really is, and it's not comfortable. You couldn't sit here for too long, which is why I've middle of autumn, I've still got a fan on, because crazy.
And it's funny, moving over here, and I lived in Australia as well for a few years before I moved here. But I find that it's talking to anyone from the UK. We've never really been in the UK one for air conditioning, and the rest of the world is aircon like day and night. And yet when I was back in the UK, and I've been back before in the summer a few years ago, and I couldn't sleep. And I thought, God, as a kid, I never had any trouble. I was, and you're there in your duvet, fully pulled over.
Yeah.
But it's just strange, I think, when I, move between the two countries, how the UK has never been for aircon. It's just not a thing.
We have got this really stupid policy, and it it's not fair to say it's any one governments, because both governments kind of agree with it, where they're trying to move everybody onto air heating, and to get this done, it's like 30 grand to get a ground source pump installed, and it's sure there's some help with it, but not enough that people could go, yes, I can spend that money on my house this month or whatever. And
but when your mortgage is just doubled, that's probably not where you want to be going right now, is it?
Yeah, exactly. It would be so much cheaper if people could do it in stages. And they could do it in stages if instead of getting ground source, they got air sourced heating and did it room by room. But the government won't give you a grant for that because, and I quote, people might use it
They
for
haven't got to
air
make
conditioning in
you
the winter.
sell it.
They might use
Well-
aircon in the winter.
Yeah, there is that. But the government quote was that they don't want people using it as air conditioning in the summer. Now, how crazy is this? We get like 1 or 2 weeks of hot weather in Britain, and most of the time,
Weather
that
warning.
thing won't
People are going to
be
die
on.
from the heat. Yeah.
I
all that
know.
stuff. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
why they don't just let people do, and it would have cost somebody like $2,000 a room every year or so, and it's
Yeah.
more affordable. You know, I don't get why that's the sticking point. But
I do have aircon.
But it is.
I bought myself an air conditioner unit because in the
Okay.
summer, do you know, I got through this year without putting it on though. Just the fans were.
The weather was crap though, wasn't it?
Weather was shit.
It was
Last
terrible.
2 years
Yeah.
though, it's been on, and it
Yeah.
makes a difference. The difference between having to take the day off and working.
Yeah.
So I was
I
like,
had,
well, it
I had
false
thought-
economy to not buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had thought of getting because this is a converted garage. It's got no central heating or anything. So I had thought I might get one of these air source things for in here, and it would kind of make sense. But then I thought, no, it would be on air conditioning all the time because the heat the computer kicks out is just so ridiculous. Especially when I'm recording video or something, I've got these lights on as well, and it's it's too much.
Yeah, it's definitely it's always an interesting thing how people are, kind of you change your perspective on temperatures. And you're definitely right that the UK, like if I've got a day that's like 35, it's hot, but it's not
Yeah.
necessarily unpleasant. 35 in the UK, I think we'd be keeling
Would be
over.
Outrageous.
yeah.
Outrageous.
Wouldn't
Yeah,
get
The
it.
minute
yeah,
we
yeah.
hit 29, 30, everyone's melting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of all the
Absolutely
insulation and the big brick, all the walls are insulated and stuff like that. I was in Cyprus for 2 weeks with a wife and kids, and over the summer, the first 2 weeks of August, and that was like walking out to a wall of heat. As soon as it was 38 degrees, and you're just like, ugh, you're like a vampire under the umbrella for the first week, Whereas my wife was just, she looked like a lady from Bangladesh by the time we left. I turned up with a pale white woman and end up like the bride from.
We've all been on those holidays.
Yeah. I'm glad Kurt's back because we're nearly at the point where we're going to go off the live stream, but we do have.
We've been live, have we?
Another, we have been.
No,
live.
yeah, oh yeah,
We
we're
have
live
been
streaming on
live.
YouTube.
Oh,
I did warn you that was what the beginning countdown was. But we do need to find out.
The stakes are so high now. Who wants a potato? It's time to find out now. Are you ready to show?
As the person who's probably
Do you want a potato, Kurt?
no, even though I'm probably the most Irish person here, not
You
today. We
don't.
got
Do you want a
pizza.
potato, Richie?
I always welcome a potato.
So
Yes.
anyone else? Anyone else really want a potato? I'm not.
I feel
fussy.
like this is going to go in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I'm wondering
feeling
what it
brave.
is now.
Yeah, go on,
I
I'll
like
have
It's
a
no,
potato.
it
I like
literally is. It literally is that. It's a feature we've been trying out. I still think it needs a bit of work, but
It needs a lot of work, like
on-
real potatoes.
on that stunning ending, thanks for watching on YouTube.
Bye,
Where's my
YouTubers.
potato?